Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Leap Taken. This is Mika. Here at Leap Taken, I talk about all things witchy, craft related, law of attraction, manifesting, esoteric, and everything else in between. And today I want to talk about altar spaces. Um, I know a lot of people are told to put up altars, whether it was through, witchy books you read, witch books on witchcraft, goddess, magic, all that sort of stuff. You're going to be told to put up an altar space. And listen, a lot of us are like, okay, I'll set it up. So now what? I set the altar space up, but I don't think I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing there, or I don't feel like doing spells at this altar for my ancestors, or I work with this particular goddess, and I want to explore other types of magic than what she's normally associated with. So I don't want to work with that magic at her altar space. So stay tuned because this video is for you. Or if you don't have an altar at all and you've like, I don't know what to do with this, so I haven't put one up. Okay, so what do you actually do at the altar? What do you do? Okay, number one reason, lay your burdens down. For real. You go to your altar, you talk to whoever the altar space is for. For me, I'm going to speak from my experience. I do have a specific goddess altar that I set up. It's very simple. I have my ancestor altar, and I have, some other things that I don't talk too much about. Practicing witchcraft, you need to not tell everything to everybody. You can't. I mean, this is a public platform. I'm not going to tell, it looks like I'm probably sharing a lot, but there's a lot I don't share. It's a lot more that I do that I don't share because I'm not supposed to. But anyway, but what I can tell you is different, whatever the purpose is, the intention that you had behind erecting that altar will really dictate what you do there. So ancestor altar, yeah, you want to go, you can talk about family business. It's not that they don't know, but it's a way for you to maybe just a space to feel comfortable speaking out loud in, or thinking, or just sitting next to it journaling. Meditation as well. Communing can be just sitting quietly, waiting for thought forms, symbols, signs to sort of pop into your head, as if being put there by the ancestors or the goddess or god that you're have that altar space for. Another reason you can have an altar is just the physical significance. This is where I come in. Mine is more of a physical significance. It's a place of reverence, honor, and respect. That's why I have this space set up. I don't do magic at my altar space, which is another thing. Working magic. Some people, what do you do there? You might actually work magic. At my altars, I don't work magic, meaning for, let's say, my ancestors, the altar that I set up, I don't go over there erecting, like anointing a spell candle, making a herbal mixture that I plan on burning, writing physical petitions out. I don't do that at that space. What I do instead is commune, give offerings, respect, sometimes communicate, like out loud, I talk. But overall, meditation. I just kind of, again, I sit and I wait to see if I receive any messages. I'll do a reading next to my altar, that sort of stuff with my tarot cards. I don't cast spells at these spaces with God, the goddess altar that I have. I don't cast spells there either. I do everything over here. And as a cottage witch, my entire home is sacred, so there's all that. So I'm trying not to make this more just about, but that's the type of magic I do. So my whole space is sacred. It's not like that. That's just a physical section that I've carved out where I can go to it, but I've been sort of existing where mentally I go to a plane of existence and deal with my ancestors that way. I don't even need to have a altar technically set up. It's something I felt called to do, and that's why I did it. I don't use it for any other purpose. That's the other thing I don't do. I don't have any other purpose other than the intended purpose. I don't set things in that space that don't normally go there. I only set things in that space where these altars are that make sense for that. Like, I don't rest something else on it temporarily, and I wouldn't allow anyone else to do it because I think that would be a sign of disrespect. So I don't do that. So why even have an altar to begin with? Besides the logical and the easy explanation, oh, this is my altar to this, deity, or this is my altar to my ancestors, or whatever. You can have it just as a sacred area, a section or area, or like I said, space to just show reverence. It's just a sacred space where when you think about it like that, and you've been getting messages where you feel like you should set something up, you don't want to call it an ancestor altar, you're not working with a specific, deity. You just feel like this is important that you set it up. So guess what? That, to me, that's a calling. You should pay attention to it. And it's just a sacred space or a section. It could be a shelf, whatever you deem it to be, wherever you're being led, but just follow it through. And then as time goes on, I feel like, and not sound corny, but it all will be revealed. Like you'll understand more why you needed to set that up and who or what it was for or the significance of it. But just follow through. A lot of times that's how they work with us: spirit, ancestors, goddesses, gods, various energy forms. That's how they don't just speak directly. Sometimes if you're lucky enough, you get a direct message, but normally it's like the subliminals, it's the whispers. I question, why is it always like that? Because I feel like when they communicate that way, a lot could be left up to interpretation. Been thinking about this a lot lately, but I think the reason that the way we're communicated is because we as humans, this is how we communicate, and the expectation is that what we consider a higher form or a different form, I'll at least say that much, would be able to talk like us, or at least attempt to communicate with us this way. The reality of it is they don't have to, and maybe they're not supposed to. They don't. It's not a thing. We're one of maybe infinite beings, so they don't have to basically make concessions for our language and our dialect and how we communicate. That's why everything's more metaphorical, and it's left up to interpretation, because if it's really for you, it'll be for you and it'll resonate, where if I see the same thing, it doesn't have that effect on me. Basically, the symbols, the signs, the messages, they're there for everyone technically to see and to experience, but it will only make sense to you or just to me because I'm the one meant for that message, or you're the one meant for seeing that particular item or symbol that's out of place. When you're walking about and there's just like a green feather, like, is there a parrot here? Why would the feather a green feather? You know what I mean? Something that just stands out. I think that that's how they just operate. It's another plane of existence they're on. They're in and out, probably different. I'm like on some sci-fi stuff right now. And I'm like, different planes of existence, the multiverse, they're traveling through space, sound, time. Our little puny English language or Spanish or French or whatever, what does it matter to them? They don't have to kowtow to us, you know what I mean? So, we get the messages the way they get them, that it's intended. I guess I'll find out one day, right? When I'm on that level, and hopefully if I'm elevated. But yeah, so you want to use your altar as a sacred space. You see, I just fly off on these tangents. Also, why have an altar? Because you can use it for a workable space, for magic, a workable space for magic and ritual. I don't do, like I said, magic or spells. I don't cast spells from my altar spaces, but maybe you need that. Maybe you want that altar is your ode to magic. Like, you feel powerful when you go there. That's where you communicate with spirit. That's where you communicate with the universe at large. It's a gateway for you. That's great. And you give it offerings because you're grateful for the connection. You keep it clean in the same way. It's just different ways of thinking about it. And you work magic there because that's when the magic is more, powerful. That's where you're more powerful. So that's why you work magic in that space. So when you have that sort of altar space thing going on, then yeah, it's going to matter where it's set up because you need to be physically able to be in that space. So it's not going to just be a shelf for you. It's probably a tabletop or a desk or something like that. Another reason to have an altar, or why have an altar, is because you want it. You've just, again, I talked about feeling divinely guided. There's just something intuitively telling you to set it up. Or you just like to have that experience. Maybe it's not what you're perceiving to be spirit-led or ancestor-led or even a goddess-led. It's just something you'd like to have because you see others and it's like, yeah, I'd like to see something like that in my house. I'd like to try that experience of having it and seeing, does it work for me? Will it help me in my spiritual path? Yes, why not? I don't think everything has to be so serious, like go ahead and just give it a try. Just have it set up. Having those types of experiences are really good. I think you should try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? What I will say though is don't get too hung up for those who have ancestor altars specifically, but this kind of fits with a lot of other things. Don't get so preoccupied worrying about offerings, how long you sit at the altar, if you've missed days, months, weeks, whatever, of going to that altar space and communing with it. If you see a layer of dust, don't freak out, meaning that the last time you petition them, they'll take it back because you didn't keep the altar space clean. I have a strong theory. I say theory because, nothing's proven until it's proven, right? And by the time I prove it, I can't probably come back and tell you all. I don't believe that these spirits, these energy forms of such that we revere and worship and include in our lives are meant to take over our lives. I don't think that you should be feeling like you have to sacrifice time and energy. It shouldn't feel like a sacrifice to keep an altar up, to keep it clean, like mundanely clean, like, dust around it, wipe it down. And spiritually clean. These shouldn't feel like obligations you don't want to do, where it feels like a sacrifice of your energy and your time. If you're feeling like that, leave that space alone. Go and leave that, take it down if you need to, if you have the energy to do that, cover it up, do something, just kind of put a close on that because you're not in a space to deal with it. And if you're feeling that feeling, that's not what it's about. You should, I don't love dusting and cleaning, don't get me wrong. It's not like I feel excited to go clean something. It's just that I feel like, oh, it's a respectful thing to do. In the same way if I was taking care of a child, I raised babies, so I didn't always feel like changing diapers, but it was a necessary thing and I care for this person. So I'm going to make sure that you're clean, not remove change your diaper. Not that I'm comparing the ancestor altar to changing a diaper. I can't believe I just said that. But the point is hopefully you get it. I'm just thinking it's something I wouldn't love to do, but you have to do it anyway. And you do it because you love, you have love for it. But yeah, we're supposed to live. We're supposed to have experiences. We're supposed to take pleasure in life. We're not supposed to constantly be almost borderline obsessed with what are our ancestors thinking? What is the goddess thinking? If she's, no, that is not how we're supposed to live. They know we live in these, flesh and bones. They know that we have a physical form and we're meant to enjoy that and live that. We're not meant to sacrifice experiences and, living, whatever that means to you. Living could be kicking back in your house, chilling. Like living is whatever you deem it to be. But the point is, you should be able to do that. You should be able to have those experiences. You shouldn't feel like you can't do something because the goddess wouldn't approve or your ancestors. You haven't communed with them, you're making a decision and you haven't consulted them. Oh my God, what am I going to do? I can't do anything. And walking around feeling this sense of guilt, that's real Abrahamic. Release that energy. They, and I know for some people they're not going to like this. If you're watching this, especially if you subscribe to certain spiritual paths where I'm noticing that to me it feels like just another variation of Christianity or something, and I'm just I don't it just kind of gets to me, grates on my nerves a little bit, kind of irritates my soul a bit when people just think that they're supposed to constantly be in a place of denial of worldly possessions and worldly pleasures. You can enjoy, if you like a good glass of drink, wine, liquor, drink wine, liquor. I'm not asking you to sit here and get yourself sick and drunk off of it, mess around and get your blood pressure up, get the diabetes. I'm not asking you to do all that. I'm just saying, if you want to have a little taste, have a little taste. If you have medication that gets in the way of that, then don't have a little taste, because you need to live, right? So you need this form, this physical form, in order to live. So adjust, balance the scales, balance things out for yourself, but still find the things that you do find pleasurable, and do those things and live your life without this constant guilt and this need that you're creating, that you think that these spirits and goddesses and ancestors are needy and we have to like subjugate ourselves and kneel and just spend hours praying and meditation. I don't do all that, and I get this stuff. My spells work, my magic works. I don't do all that, and I commune with them. I don't sit for hours. They don't. It is not required. Prime example: offerings at my ancestor altar specifically. I have an offering plate. I haven't put anything on that plate yet because I feel like we're all getting comfortable. I just erected that altar a few weeks ago. The way I see it, let's let the energy kind of ruminate. Let's let the energy flow a little bit before I start putting stuff over there. I wouldn't put food out because my ancestors have never requested me to put out food. Maybe they don't like the way I cook. Where if my sister, if she puts up an ancestor altar, she might be requested, feel like this strong urge to put a plate of food out. Maybe they like her cooking better. They want water from me. I'm comfortable. Drink the water. I got good water, so they're going to want my water. It's alkaline. So they might like it from me, where hers is, the spigot water. Look, I'm just saying. I do what feels right, what I feel is required. Now, how do I differentiate what I think they want versus what I'm imagining? And, it's coming from some other place and conditioning in my mind of, what I think I need to put out. Usually, when I'm dealing with messages of any sorts from specifically my ancestors, it never feels bad. It doesn't they don't make me feel bad. They don't give me messages that make my stomach hurt. You know what I mean? That makes it a clench up or something, or give me a nervous anxiety feeling. Messages from them are like barely messages. It's like a faint whisper. And it's, that's why you have to be attuned. And other times they show symbols and signs. It's something on a TV show. I'm talking to somebody and they just start randomly bringing up something. And that's when I tune in even more. Certain words pop out at me. A time, numbers, things like that. They communicate in that way to me at times, especially if I'm not getting it or I'm not, getting the message. And then, of course, there's still dreams. I'll have a dream or someone will call and tell me about a dream. And I'm like, well, that's interesting because I was just, thinking about that, or that, I just saw something else. And that's when, it starts clicking in my head. Oh, they're telling me this, that this is the message. This is the actual message. Because, modern times, modern life, sometimes it doesn't immediately resonate that this is coming from, an ancestor or something like that, one of my ancestors or collective ancestors. But yeah, it happens that way. Versus when it's coming from conditioning in my much earlier in my witchcraft, when I was still shedding the dogma and of Christianity and so forth. I the it feels different. Like, it physically feels different in my body when it's that, because that's more based in fear. And I got a problem with any faith system based in fear, like, because to me, fear is used as a manipulation. Like, it's how you manipulate people if you make them fearful. People do it with kids all the time. I'm gonna beat you, and you make them afraid of you, and then you're manipulating them because you want them to do what you want with no questions asked. No talk back and all that stuff, right? As parents, that's what a lot of people do, and it's a type of manipulation. And we wonder why they rebel as teenagers. Because, it only works so long. They like, look, you can't beat me like that anymore. I don't know why this is lost on like large groups of people. It's like, that's not a great way of parenting. You gotta, anyway, tangent. But yeah, back to what I was just saying. They don't want us to constantly be at their like beck and call, and like giving up living your life to sit at your altar and do all that sort of stuff. That is not how it's supposed to be. And it bugs me that people are really out here promoting this. And of course, if you're watching this, you're gonna feel like, well, geez, that makes sense, because I don't have that kind of time to sit at my altar and just keep chanting and saying this. Like, I got kids, I gotta, go to work, I'm in school, I'm doing all three of those things, or more importantly, I don't really feel good about that. Why would you be doing something you don't feel good? Oh, because if you suffer, right? If you're suffering for it, then that means it's worth it. Another BS thing. This concept of suffering, oh, I hate that too. Yeah, release that energy, use your altar, lay your burdens down about that. Go to your altar and release this desire to make yourself suffer and feel like you constantly have to sacrifice all the time, spiritually speaking. Like, because probably if you're doing it there, you're doing it in other aspects of your life. Do a spell and release that. Like, be done with it. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have that I wanted to talk about as far as like altars and all that sort of stuff. I like to keep my magic simple. I like to keep a good part of my spirituality very simple. It doesn't have to be overly complex. You don't have to really think that hard about these things. Just do. I know it's easier said than done, but you gotta learn to trust yourself. I mean, that's a big part of it. And I think the reason I could just say that is because I've been so big on intuitive magic and, intuitive witchcraft for that matter. So it's easy for me to think like that because I've done so much work. So I learned to understand my inner voice, my higher self, my intuitiveness, and being in touch with it, constantly in touch with it. Man, when you'd be surprised at how it talks to you. For instance, I like a song. Let's say you're talking to somebody. This happened to me. Someone was talking to me, and a song popped in my head. And the song was the person was saying something, and the song just kept playing. This one part, the like verse of the song, was like on a loop in my head as this person was talking to me, and that was basically, they work that way. The universe works that way, where they're basically just letting me know, like the person, whatever they're saying, basically wasn't true, and I was able to deduce that because the song. And I was right, by the way. I will find out later I was right. So it's like that sort of stuff. But if you pay attention, you probably get stuff like that happening to you all the time. You're just like, why do I keep thinking about this song? It's in relation to what's going on. Stop. Just like be in the moment for a moment and just think, wait a minute. What am I hearing? What is the song? What is that? What's happening? And draw the correlation. Like, there's a reason that's happening. But that's enough. I'm done with the tangents. I'm going to go. Thanks for watching. Again, I'm Mika. This is Leap Taken. Like, subscribe, share, and as always, thanks again for watching. Bye-bye.